What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this live. This is me, Jimmy, with my partner Corey from By the Hood. Corey, what's going on, brother? How you?
I'm all good in the hood, man. You know, I'm on the road, so we doing this. This is the By the Hood Road Show.
Yeah. I know you're traveling the country. You're somewhere in the Midwest right now, right?
Yeah, I'm down here in Houston right now.
Okay, that's what's up. Yeah, man. Just want to
My
do. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just saying, my kids travel the country in the summertime. You know what I mean? That's their normal. So I ain't want to take them too much off their routine.
Oh man, you riding with three young ones on a road trip, man. God bless you, man. I know that's interesting.
Yeah,
But real quick, we want to come
we
live.
gonna leave it at interesting.
Yeah, we gonna lead us at interesting, right? So we want to come live. We've got a lot of inboxes and questions that people have asked. Also, want to talk about this topic of the investor's mindset, right? So, for those who may be watching this for the first time, By the Hood is a community organization, and we do our part to preach the philosophy of ownership, right? So we believe in owning, right? We believe black wealth is black power. So a lot of what we teach is about how to own assets, whether that be real estate, stocks, whatever it may be. We generally stick to those two things because none of us are really like, art appraisers or any precious metals. Like we don't, that's not our thing. We probably could find those. We are specialists that we connect with in every sort of asset class, whether that be cryptocurrency or we haven't really had anybody on with the art game yet. That's something we got to work on, bro.
I know people who collect comic books and trading cards and everything and coins. So I know people who get it that don't even collect the stuff that normal people
Yeah,
collect.
but we stick to what we know, right? So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a real estate and stock guy. Corey's the options guy, stock guy, whatever. So we stick to what we know. Um, but this actual live, we want to talk about the investor's mindset, right? So I'm gonna let Corey tell a story, but before he does, I just want to give a quick example of what we're talking about. So first off, salute to all of our students from By the Hood University. Um, we have several students in our private group who are now investing and trading and doing all sorts of things, and it's beautiful to see um, people making moves and making money, right? But the investor's mindset is interesting. And shout out to our brother Jay Johnson from Discover Your Options. I'll give you an example of the investor's mindset. When you start to think like an investor, you see everything that's going on around you and you figure out how to capitalize off of it, right? Now, some may say that's evil, but it's not evil because at the end of the day, this is how the world works. Quick example, right? So all of us are affected by, what's going on in the world over the past couple weeks. We saw protests, we saw riots, we saw, is what the media calls civil unrest. Let's just use that word, civil unrest. So because we're in these groups, these private groups that we talk about investing, my brother Jake Johnson from Discover Your Options was like, yo, we need to start looking at some glass companies. They breaking all this glass. And an example of it is I found a company called OI Glass. Put a trade in, made 30% on my money, right? It dropped back down, jumped back in, made another 27.5% of my money. Now, granted, that's at a time when bank accounts are paying less than 1%. But it's the investor's mindset. When you start to go around and you live and you start to notice, right? Whether it's a social media site, you notice everybody's using, and you try to figure out, okay, is it publicly traded? If it's not, when will it be? Or how can I get involved in that? Because we also teach in our course how to buy private companies. Um, we live in the hood, right? So we know that with certain clothing and certain items, we have access to information that a lot of people don't have access to. So we know what's cool, what's hip, what's hot, and we could take advantage of that. Whether that be a fast food restaurant, a regular restaurant, it could be, where the Nikes is popping. When Adidas started making a little comeback a couple years ago, right? You could have went and bought some Adidas shares, and Adidas has risen several percent. Several, as a matter of fact, I'll check and tell you over the last several years how much Adidas has risen. But we saw this in the in the hood before it actually took place. Over the
Yep.
last 5 years, Adidas is up 280%. But that's just an example. Remember, Adidas was cold for a minute, right? And we saw that. But the thing is not just about seeing it, it's about taking action when you see that. So that's just one quick example of the investor's mindset. The investor's mindset is to be able to see everything going on around you and how you can capitalize off that. Now, here's what's crazy about that. So I give you the example of the OI glass. Flip my bread with that, and then I was able to donate to my favorite movement, right? because that's what it's about. When you have resources, it's not just about making money so you can do whatever it is you want to do. I made money on a flip of the glass company, and then I donated. I'll be honest with you, I donated to Know Your Rights campaign. So, but I was able to take the money that I made in the market and then make a donation to something that I cared about. Right, whatever your point of view is or your worldview, you can contribute to that by using the market. You know what I mean, Core?
Yeah, I mean, I did something similar. Except for I kept it, closer to home. We had some things going on, in Philadelphia, so I just donated to a few of my favorite, folks back in the city that I know is out here doing the work. And I just put the money directly, cash at that, make that move.
Yeah.
I mean?
Whatever your point of view is, or whatever it is that you want to support, a way to do that is to use the markets to make the money to support that because there's money being made every day. It doesn't matter what you see on the news when they say this is up or that's down. One of the things that we do for our private by the hood university students is we show some of the trades that we made. So they were able to see me as I made those trades with that organization. And also I showed what I made in the month of May. So people say, well, the market's been down because of this, that, and the third. And just in May, 90%. Now that's not normal, but at the end of the day, that shows that when the market goes down, that actually is a good thing for us because of the volatility. But Core,
Yeah.
when we talk about the investor's mindset, what comes to mind for you?
Well, what comes to mind for me is this, what my uncle used to teach me, right? So when I was younger, my uncle and I used to play chess, and my uncle was just under grandmaster level as a chess player. And so when he would teach me, he would always give me pointers about, how to win the game. And so what he would do is that he would start the game with his queen off the board, and he would play me without his queen on the board. And then he would find a way to track my queen and take my queen, and then I would be chasing his pieces around the board. And what he would always say is, and he would beat this into me like he would say this so many times that it still rings in my head. That he would say, "Checkmate is a position; it's not a piece." And so when you go chasing pieces, you miss the end game. You miss the 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 point of the game, which is to put the other player in checkmate. So, and what he was trying to tell me was, is that when something when something doesn't go your way, don't lose focus on the main goal, and the main goal is to win the game. And checkmate is the position, it's not a piece. You use your pieces to get the checkmate, but the ultimate point of the game is to put your opponent in checkmate. And so he was teaching me to, always stay focused on the end goal, and investing. That's the thing you have to do. Um, don't, chasing around, um, positions after you've lost money. We talked to a student about that today, and that's something that we've all done as investors, chasing around bad money. You make a bad trade, or you buy a company and something goes wrong and the price goes crazy and it goes down on you or something like that. Instead of you staying focused on your plan and adhering to the rules that you set for yourself, you start to go chasing around all this other stuff to try to get back to the position where you was when the ultimate position is checkmate, which is to win the game. So,
Mm-hmm.
in the investor's mindset, checkmate is the position. Like whatever position you want to get to, whatever rules you set yourself up to get to those places, then that's what you use. Instead of trying to excuse me, instead of trying to chase around, looking for, the next lottery ticket. Just like last week we were talking about um using bottom Maserati. Checkmate is the
Mm-hmm.
position. Like don't go get yourself in no trouble trying to chase bad money with good money.
Yeah. So that's interesting, right? Because we talk about the whole idea of people looking for lottery tickets because when they get in investing, they don't understand that investing is a long-term thing. It's not about getting rich overnight. So you see people that come in and they go looking for the garbage stock that's less than $1. And it's not to say that you can't make that, but if that's not what you're studying and what you're doing, because here's the thing I want everybody to know. If you're not going to study, first of all, forget about trading, right? Because trading and investing are two different things. But even as an investor, you have to put, a little bit of time, unless, and we have something for the people who's just an absolute lazy investor who's not going to do anything. Just buy an index fund or ETF and don't even worry about it. But if you want to try to, do a little bit more with your money, you have to put a little bit of work in. And part of that is doing some studying instead of looking for those garbage companies that you, and again, this is not investment advice. We're not financial advisors, but we given our experience. And in our experience, it's best not to go looking for those trash companies, because with the investor's mindset, there will always be opportunity available, right? There's always going to be opportunity available. So you don't have to go chasing. Remember what the end game is. The goal is to use your money to make money, right? So if you're going to use your money to make money, just be careful in how you do it. You have to study, right? And part of studying is you look at a company and how they make their money. I was watching something earlier and it was interesting. The guy was talking about understanding how your company actually makes its money. Forget the stock price, forget what everybody's saying. How does your company make its money? If we're talking about Coca-Cola, we know how Coca-Cola makes money, right? They sell beverages, they sell the actual syrup to some companies who then make the whole thing. We know what they do. And an example he was using was Enron. Enron looked amazing, right? When you looked at the actual on paper, because they were lying, obviously. Everybody remembers the Enron scandal. But even back then, when you asked the average person how Enron made money, nobody could answer that question. People were just looking at the numbers, right? So there's this debate that we see in a lot of these investment groups between technical analysis and fundamental analysis. And I'm big on fundamental analysis. I'm not big on technical. Not that it's not useful. It's not useful. It's just not my thing. But I think that if you do practice technical analysis, you still have to understand fundamental analysis.
Yep.
Right? That's my opinion. And that's an example of why. So if we're talking about Apple, everybody knows how Apple makes their money, right? So when you look at these companies, a lot of times think about the company, not necessarily a stock, because understand when you buy stock, you're buying equity in a company. How does that company make money? If you can't answer that question, you probably shouldn't be buying it, right? Would you agree with that?
No, I agree with that 100%. The two questions I ask when I buy anything is what's the ROI? What's the return on my investment? Whether it's if am I buying for consumption or am I buying for for return? And how do I get my money out if I'm buying for return? That's my second question.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do they make their money falls in line with that, because I need to know how they make their money so I know how I get my money out. So that's part of how I get my money out, because am I getting paid out in dividends, or am I going to have to sell this to get my money? How do you make my return on investment work? So I need to understand how you make your money so I know how I'll make mine if I'm going to invest in it. So I'm 100% in agreement with what you're saying. I'm saying it a little bit different, but that's exactly, we're on the same page.
So that's also part of the investor's mindset. Part of the investor's mindset is to understand that you're buying equity in a company. These things aren't just little stocks and numbers that flow on the chart, because I see a lot of people who feel that way and don't understand that you're buying equity in a company. So when you buy equity in a company, understand what that company is, understand what they do, understand how they make money. Shout out to everybody watching. I see we got people watching on Facebook as well as YouTube. Make sure if you have any comments to leave us a comment, ask any questions, and we'll try to answer those while we're on. Gonna be on a little bit longer, but we did get some inboxes. So our Instagram page has been crazy. So we do got a couple questions. First question is from our Instagram inbox. Should someone invest long term before trading options? What's your opinion on that, Corey?
I think you should understand the fundamentals of investment before you trade options. Now, if you don't want to set up your long-term portfolio before you start trading options, I can't design your life for you. I personally would do that, but I don't recommend you start trading options without knowing how to fundamentally break down a company and be able to tell if that company is going to make money and how the company is going to make money. Because when you trade options, if you don't know how the company makes its money and the cycles in which it makes its money, you're going to lose your money.
Okay. All right. So my answer to that question is now this may come off and a lot of people won't like me saying this, but I got to be honest. I think most people probably shouldn't even trade options, right? I think most people, right, psychologically aren't built for it. But with that being said, I think understanding how it works is an invaluable skill set because you never know if it's for you unless you try it. But in my experience, most people aren't built for it. And that's just me being honest, right? And shout out to everybody who's in our options group. They're like, what are you doing? But I'm just being honest. Most people probably shouldn't even get involved. But I think everybody should own something. Everybody should own long term, but the average person probably shouldn't. With that being said, I think that a lot of us have the ability to do so. We just don't understand that we have the ability to do so. What I mean by that is some people say that seems too difficult because you're doing all this math and all these things. But I see like some of the same folks who can do analytics when it comes to sports. A lot of us are brilliant and we don't recognize that we're brilliant. It's just a matter of focusing it. But the average person should own long term. So we got a couple questions right here in our live. So let's pull this up real quick. Christopher Boyd, what up, Chris? How are you? Said, peace, family. How do y'all feel about crypto? I'll let Corey answer that first.
I love crypto. I think it's a transfer of wealth. I think that infrastructure is being built around cryptocurrency, which means there's money to be made there. So if there's money to be made, I think that's where we should be. And I shouldn't say money, but it's there's resources to be had there. So if there's a transfer of wealth going on somewhere, Black people should have they should have a bucket underneath the spigot like everybody else. Like what happens with Black people most of the time, and this pains me to say, is that we've been scammed so many times that we don't believe in anything. And so what happens is everybody else gets to the table first and eats, and then they pass the scraps under the table to us. And so what happens when that happens, we get in on the tail end and we pay more and get less instead of getting in on the front end where you get more and you pay less. So right now, crypto is still on the front end. So I think that you should get crypto education before you get crypto. Because the same thing with stocks and the same thing with crypto. You should get education before you get ownership. Get education and then get ownership.
My feeling on crypto is it's similar to Corey's. Mine just gets into a little bit of a political discussion. By the way, there's an amazing book. It's called Bitcoin in Black America by Bitcoin Zay, who we did have on our podcast. And his book made me rethink everything I thought about crypto because he talked about it just not as an investment, but as a tool of empowerment. So it kind of like shifted my thinking a little bit. But crypto to me is interesting because I saw all the big organizations, banks, companies like trying to, downplay it as they were acquiring it. So what I'm afraid of, and this is just me thinking out loud, is by the time it gets to be what it's going to be, is it going to be nothing but another banking system? Core, what do you think about that? Like, because these big entities, these big banks are already acquiring it in bulk. And
so I mean, 90% of it is owned institutionally. But my thing is, even with 90% being owned institutionally, that doesn't even matter. Because my whole thing is when there's infrastructure being set up, right? And again, like I said, infrastructure equals money. So if we're on heavy on that 10% in that ownership piece, when the system changes over, we acquire massive amounts of wealth.
That's true too. So we got
when the system changes over.
Shout out to Indiana Kicks 219. He says, good point. He also says that crypto is the future, hands down. And he also says that he thinks it's the other way around. Once you have crypto or stocks, you start to pay attention and want to learn more. That's an interesting point, Indiana, because I'm going to tell you why. The thing about crypto, which I found interesting, is there have been people I've been talking to about investing in real estate in the stock market for a long time. When crypto went crazy a couple years ago, They jumped in, and because of that, it kind of opened their eyes, and now they're stock investors. There's a huge subset of people who've become like investors in the stock market because of what happened with crypto. So I think that's a positive thing. But I think Corey's point was understand what you're doing. Don't just buy to be buying. And so I agree with both of you because here's my another thing about crypto, which I find interesting is, and it kind of bothers me when you talk about the space, is all the shit coins. To me,
Yeah.
and that goes back to our last show, right? When I talk about buy the Bentley, right? If you're talking about a Bitcoin versus, whatever altcoin you want to name right now, I would rather have a fraction of a Bitcoin than a whole coin that's, pretty much could be a scam, right? Bitcoin is proven. It's been around for over a decade at
They,
this
they,
point. Like,
Bitcoin and Ethereum are the two that you know are the proven commodities. There's other coins that are becoming
I'm not
proven
calling them all
commodities.
garbage. I'm not calling them, but they're new ones that pop up every day. Is my point, right? I'm
Yeah,
a huge fan of Litecoin from a use standpoint because I've actually used it and it moves a lot
yeah,
faster.
it
Um,
does.
but the fact of the matter is, right, when we talk about how many coins are out there, every time I look up, there's somebody on, like, I spend time on Twitter. There's people with like, yo, you got to get down with this coin and that coin. I'm like, listen, man, most of these are garbage. So I think that was Corey's point in terms of understanding what you're doing before you get in, but also get Indiana's point that a lot of times that will help you get involved in the space. We have another comment from Facebook. What's up, Callie? How are you? She said, will you guys upload this to watch later? Absolutely. It'll be on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ by the hood, as well as our Facebook page, the same, facebook.com by the hood. It'll be there as well. Yeah, so crypto is interesting because we get a lot of crypto questions in our inbox because a lot of people feel like, oh man, you got to talk more about crypto. And it's not that we don't talk about crypto. It's just that, our focus primarily is on ownership in these companies that we use on a day-to-day basis. Because the thing about it is we're participating in the system, whether you like it or not. But either you're going to be a consumer or you're going to be an investor. Everybody's a consumer. Everybody is a consumer.
I'm gonna give you the buck. I buy $100 in Bitcoin a week.
Okay.
So that's my contribution to myself. That's my secondary retirement plan. That's my secondary retirement because
No
I
doubt.
mean, if it takes, I spend $100 a week on cheese sticks, so
Mm-hmm.
I just redirected that money into the crypto market instead of into my demise instead of eating fast food. Start putting it into something that could actually pay out for
No
me and
doubt.
my children down the line.
All right. Let me got another question for you, Core. This is from our inbox on Instagram. It says, airline stocks or cruise stocks? What should I be looking at?
I don't look at either. So I mean, just to be honest, um, I would choose airline stocks over crypto stocks just because the airline
You
employees
mean you
are
mean cruise,
veteran.
cruise, not crypto. You mean cruise stocks.
I mean, over the cruise stocks, I would choose airlines over cruises just because a lot of the cruise companies aren't American companies and they won't get no bailouts like
Mm-hmm.
the airlines did. So I would always choose the companies that could get the bailouts. So I would always choose
Yeah.
airlines over cruise stock. Just me. I know
Yeah.
how
No,
the airlines gonna get their money. I know how the airlines are going to get their money. I don't know how the cruise companies are
I
going to get
got
their
you.
money.
No, I would agree with that too because it's going to be a political issue. Um, a couple more comments. This Indiana again. He says that Ethereum is trying to partner with Nike, so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Um,
Yeah.
Also, Christopher again. He said, "Thanks for all your input. Dollar cost average. Yeah, we with that. Are you familiar with decentralized finance?"
I'm
So, Core, do you have any?
familiar. Yeah, I'm. That's what the crypto space was
Mm-hmm.
set up to be. Which is why a lot of these centralized tokens like the Facebook token and Ripple and stuff, those are trash coins because if the whole purpose is to trade on a decentralized playing field, then you don't want to be dealing with coins that are put out by centralized. Any coin that's tied to anything physical or
Mm-hmm.
to a government or anything, you don't want to be you don't want no part of it. That's just you know, that's my assumption and assertion on coins. If it's tied
All
to
right.
anything like water or gold or houses or whatever it's tied to. Anything physical is not decentralized anymore, and I won't buy that coin. But
I got an interesting question that just came on Instagram. I got to hear your opinion on this. And again, like, these are questions that are shooting it now, so we don't rehearse this, but I want to hear what Corey say about this. What are your feelings on margin?
I have mixed feelings on margin. I use margin occasionally, just because I like to go balls to the wall. But if you use, you need the first thing that margin. If you make money, they use it to pay margin, and so it doesn't actually go into your account to pay you specifically first. So if you use margin, you need to know what you're doing. So for the 98% of investors, I would tell them to leave margin alone.
Damn, you stole that was going to be my point, and I wasn't going to go 98 though. I was going to say 99% of people just leave it alone. You're going to have that 1% that knows how to flip it and know what they want to do, but leave it alone. Like, leave it alone. Another one from YouTube, brother Indiana again. He said he's with you, right? Bitcoin Weekly, and he's going to start doing Ethereum next. All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. So we're glad that you're out there putting your money somewhere, because our whole objective is this, right? And I got a little bit of backlash from a post that we had put up today, which was about the Monopoly post, when I was talking about can't play a game of Monopoly without investing, and someone said I was trying to talk people out of becoming entrepreneurs or landlords, and that wasn't the point of the post at all. The point of the post was, even if you don't want to be a landlord, if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, you still have the ability to own. Everybody has the ability to own. So we don't get into specific advice like, hey, you should buy this or you should buy that. We just tell you, look, do something. So salute to Indiana. Like, if that's what your thing is, do your thing, but just make sure that you're trying to put your money to work for you. Because at the end of the day, you got to
education around it.
Yeah, get the education.
Not only are you putting yeah. So whatever you putting your money into, as far as ownership, get the education around that, right? So don't just be, blindly throwing money at it. Don't be asking people to throw your money, control your money for you. That's kind of not the point of it. The whole point of it is to get the education so you can pass it through generationally.
Yeah,
so the education is not, the point of it is to learn it so you can pass it along. It's not to, if you don't learn it, then how do you pass it along? So what happens with our assets is, most in the first generation, most of the assets get flitted away, and then if it makes it through the first generation, it almost like a 95% clip doesn't make it through the second generation, because we don't get enough education around it to pass through, and then make the wealth become generational.
Man, so I'm gonna tell you what, that's a great point. One of the books I just read this year is called Family Wealth. It's by James Hughes Jr., right? And so when I got the book, I was like, okay, he's gonna talk about how build family wealth, and a lot of it had nothing to really do with investing, but it was about the fact that, of what you just said, is not just about the assets that you leave the people behind you. It's about the education and also the systems that you leave, right? And he used examples of families that have had money for generations and generations. And he talks about how most families never get there. It's because they focus so much on the assets and not the other piece, the education piece. And the education piece is important. So that's a great point. So Indiana, that's a great point he's making. Even if that's going to be your thing, make sure you study it. We got another one. Kavia, what's up, Kavia? How are you? It's our sister, 254 sister. She says, great point. Showing us love. So you already know. So shout out to Kavia. Yeah, that was a great point, Corey, because you have to educate yourself and leave that education as part of the assets in which you leave the next generation.
That's the actual main asset. The main asset is actually education.
Yep. All right, Christopher Boyd said he got to slide out. He said he loves the podcast, so he wants us to check out Bank of Holders and check out their interest rates on crypto. He'll be watching and sharing. All right, we'll check that out. We got your message up there in the video. We'll make sure we check that out. Yep. Listen, man. One of the things that I like to say is, and this is specifically to our students, like, I love to learn from you guys because it's so much going on. You can't pay attention to everything, right? So that's why building a community and building a team is essential. That's why, like, part of the DYO Academy and also Bodyhood University, we're always throwing ideas and giving information to each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, and shout out to our Bacchus family too. Everybody's always sharing information, which is really important, right? So,
Yeah.
Cora, I gotta ask you this: what have you
Yeah.
been doing this week in terms of what you've been doing personally in the markets?
Um. Again, since I had a death in the family and I was traveling, so I did some cover calls on some companies. I did cover calls on CenturyLink. I did cover calls on General Electric, on Cody, and on uh, goodness gracious, the oil company Marathon Oil. Right, so I kept it cheap
Okay.
this week. Um, but what happened is on Monday and Tuesday, it jumped up so much that I actually had to sell the covered calls at a loss. But by
Mm-hmm.
today, I made so much money on the actual companies that I swing traded that I actually made another $550. So I started
Yeah.
off in covered calls at the beginning of the week. I made about $300 on the covered calls. I sold them back at a loss of about $400. But because
Mm-hmm.
the companies went up so much, like GE, I bought them at 575. Them Jones went up to 8. When I sold them this morning, they was 850. So
Okay.
and I had 400 of them. So I took the cash and ran. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
sold. I sold I made money off the cover calls initially. I sold at a loss of about I think about $400, and then I made at the end. I ended up making about 500 and some change
Okay. See, but
on
that's that goes to the investor's mindset, right? It's about what you did overall, right? And that's a great point. So if you have two trades out and you lose $300 on one, but you make 1,300 on the other, a lot of times people focus on that loss instead of understanding that you made money overall. This past week
yeah.
for me, I had one loss. I posted about it in the group, right? Because anyone who tells you they've never lost in terms of a trader, like either they're lying or they're not telling the truth. It's one or the other. But it was with FCX. So went down about 20%, got out of that. But overall, I killed it because that OI trade, like I said, I made 30% and 27.5%. I'm still killing it with DraftKings and also Penn National Gaming. Between those two companies, like Penn National Gaming, I was telling you this morning, I was like, dude, I'm getting close to like 150% return on that.
In less than a
So
month. I mean, or
and
just over a month.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I posted about it in the group.
that's nice.
I posted about it in the group when I bought it. I'm like, yo, I'm buying this. Also the same thing like with DraftKings. Got DraftKings at like 20, and that's been running up like crazy. It's like around 40. So that's
I
like,
lost my DraftKings to a cover call. Like I said that last week, I lost my DraftKings to a cover call because I was running DraftKings. I bought it at 23, had a $25 cover call, and it ended up at $28 that week,
yeah.
which
So
is
those are some of the things we working on the real estate side. Still have a property that should be done within the next couple of weeks. It's trying to figure out whether it'll be a flip or a rental. That
I'm
depends
actually looking.
upon what the market's showing me. What you doing real
Yeah,
estate wise, Corey?
I'm going to look at properties tomorrow. I'm going to look at some actual land because I'm going to probably buy the land and then develop a property and just to on that land. So I'm going to go look at some land um, over the next few days. I'm prospecting.
Okay, that's what's
So
up, man. Buy some land down south, man. I love it. I love it. Anybody
yeah,
watching
because
live? We got a number of people watching live on Facebook as well as YouTube. Shoot us a message. We'll be here a couple more minutes. I want to read a couple more questions off IG before we get out of here. And if anybody has a question on YouTube or Facebook, make sure to you know, put it in there now so we can get that answer for you. All right, got you. I really can't answer this question. Someone is asking, they want to invest, but they don't know whether they should buy Coke or Pepsi.
uh,
I
the
don't think you can
answer
go
is
wrong.
the answer is you should buy whatever fits your trading your investing style. So, and you should also check into their financials and how with their forward progress is going to look like. So that'll answer your question on whether you should buy Pepsi or Coke. But as just a drink, buy the Pepsi.
Oh, now this question right here, I might read this. We get tons of questions. We get tons of questions on our IG inbox, but this one right here might take up the rest of the time. And shout out to Omar, who's one of our students at Bard Hill University. He just commented on Facebook. He says you can't go with. I guess he's saying you can't go wrong with either. Is what he meant to say. You can't go wrong with either. I agree with that though.
Yeah, you definitely can't go wrong.
Yeah, so you can't go wrong with either one.
And it's definitely not investment advice.
Yeah, not investment advice. You already know how we give it up. All right, so this question right here is an interesting question that we got in the IG inbox. And the reason I don't put for one, we're not live on IG, we're live on Facebook and YouTube, but people are obviously watching and commenting over here because of our huge community over there. It says, how do you feel about these companies and all of a sudden saying Black Lives Matter?
Man, all right, I'm going to keep my bars very short. I'm gonna give him half a bar.
I want you to answer it from this perspective, though, right? Because for one, I just want to show this because since we put that up there, I want to put this up there too. He did fix what he said, yo. So I want to make sure we showed it though. You fixed what you said, but listen though, how do you feel about companies from an investor's perspective? Do you think that they're protecting their investment?
No, all right. From an investor's perspective, yeah, I want them to get a statement so that they, if I got my money involved, I don't want them to, tank the stock. But from a human perspective, from a Black person's perspective, man, I don't believe none of that stuff, man. Like, I'm just gonna keep it PC, man. Companies are only out there to serve shareholders, and so these statements are statements to say, all right, let's keep my shareholders' money safe. And so I don't really care nothing about those statements as knowing the markets the way I do, because companies are in business to make money. And so, especially when it's a company that big that is only beholden to its shareholders, and the shareholders aren't Black people, these statements are hollow as hell. So
got you. So my question is this, right? You say they do that to protect shareholder value. So, and I would tend to agree with you. But how do you think, so that makes me ask another question. The fact that in 2020 does protect shareholder value, was that saying something about the climate? Because think, in the past, they wouldn't have had to say anything because they protected shareholder value by being quiet. Now, in order to protect shareholder value, you have to say something.
It says that, protesting and rioting works, but it only to a certain degree and at a certain level. Like, it's levels to it. And so it only can, protesting and rioting only reaches up to a certain level.
Okay.
And so that's I'm not pooping on protesting and rioting. I'm saying it works, but there's more work to be done. After the protesting and the rioting is over, we got to get to the work of actually.
You got to build. You got to build.
To put ourselves in a position to make whatever they were protesting and rioting about, we got to make it stick. That's the work. You know what I mean? And so that's why I don't believe in none of this hocus pocus that these companies putting out there. Good job. You know what I mean? Wonderful.
Yeah. Great question, though. That's a great question. I'm glad someone asked that. That was interesting. That's why I had to bring that one to the forefront. So for people out there watching, check us out Sunday, right? We'll be live Sunday on the Black Wealth Project. We do a show, the Black Wealth Project, with our brothers and sisters over there. That'll be live on Sunday. Next Tuesday, we'll be live. We'll have episode 2 of Movies About Money, right? So I don't know if any of you guys have seen on our YouTube page. We did an analysis of the movie Wall Street and how it relates to our culture and climate today. That's one of our newest shows where we talk about movies, but how movies that are about money, and we do an analysis of those. So this Tuesday at around 7 p.m., we're going to be doing Trading Places, which is interesting, right? So we'll be talking about Trading Places.
So between now and Tuesday, go watch Trading Places.
And then come chop it up with us. Yeah, come chop it up with us Tuesday evening. We're gonna break down Trading Places and all the different things that happened in that movie and how it relates to life then versus now, and even some of the money plays that were made in the movie. That's the great thing about doing movies about money. So all right, so we got another question. Hey, what's up? It's our sister right here. Janice says, what is the Black Wealth Project? All right, so that's something that we're working on with some of our other brothers and sisters who are in this space. That's Kamari, Malik. We have Courtney and we have Tracy. So we have like a little show we do live every Sunday, and we talk about things in the Black community. So when we say Black wealth, it's not just money; it's about health. It's about like where you at mentally. It's just about overall Black wealth,
And it's
and we're going
about
to
coming
see.
together to do it
Yeah,
because
it's about
there are
coming
things
together to
that we
do
could
it.
do. There are things that we could do individually that we should be doing collectively. And so that's why it's
Mhm.
called the Black Wealth Project because we're all coming together. We're bringing our intellect and our resources together, and we're going to start to, besides bring information, we're going to start bringing projects to the people. You know,
Exactly. So we're working on a couple projects too. Some trying to do some group things as a project as well. But it's about working together. All of the people that I mentioned have their own platforms, and we talk all the time. So we say, hey, let's do something together. And which starts with just the media piece, but then we try to do projects outside of that because we're always active in the community. And we want to make sure that we remain active in the community. Also, speaking of that, for those watching, whether live or you're watching on the replay, we are going to have our camp this summer, and we're going to bring it online. And it's for kids ages 5 and up. And we're working on the infrastructure now, but it'll be in August. So just understand that we will be having our camp. Just pay attention to our page, our YouTube page, all of our social media to see about our our camp that we're going to have. So yeah, just make sure you stay in tune with us. Just watch the page, and we'll put everything we got going on. Hopefully, things get to some semblance of normalcy soon, so we can get back out in the streets and do what we do. But until then, we're going to use the technology to make sure we still touch as many people as possible and help as many pieces as people as possible. And before we get out of here, I also want to send another shout out to our students because you guys are amazing. And we're going to
yeah,
continue to build together. Corey, anything you want to say if we got here, brother?
yeah. If you're looking for learning opportunities, we're part of a lot of black um, spaces that will help you learn how to learn how to get involved in the markets and in real estate. If you
Mhm.
follow us, we promote a lot of different people and a lot of different things on our pages. Please go check those things out. Our brother Kamari Ellis, he's in the taxes. Courtney's an attorney. Uh, Malik is an active agent. Tracy's heavy into the real estate game, and she can help you get some things done. We promote, our Bodyhood University and our DYO, plus our summer camp. So if you're looking for education, we know the people that can put you in position to go ahead and make those things happen. And then the other thing is we not stingy. If we can't provide you with the services that we think that you need, we'll link you up with somebody who will. Man, we share. It ain't man, it's about you getting the information. It ain't about us it ain't about us getting a sale. That's not our move.
Not at
So
all.
if you need something and you unsure about where to go to get it, if we can't service your need, we'll definitely put you in a position and with somebody who will service that need because we know the trusted agents in the field.
Also, if you have a service or a product, we like to promote other people, other black, like he just said, we like to promote people, brothers and sisters who have services or products. Let us know about that as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And for our courses that we have, go to bodyhooduniversity.com and you'll see what's there. Other than that, people, man, we will appreciate all the support that we get. People that are still out there buying the merch. That's amazing to me. People buying merch during the pandemic, but we appreciate that. We appreciate our students. Anybody who shares our content or follows what we got going on, we definitely appreciate it. But remember, if you have any questions, just inbox us. Catch us on the next live. Catch us on the Black Wealth Project Sunday. Catch us on Movies About Monday next Tuesday. And make sure you check out all of our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Go to our YouTube channel. We have tons and tons of content out there with professionals from all walks of life. You know what I mean? The keys to success are already there. We putting them out there. So, all right, y'all. Appreciate it.
peace.
Peace.